Hello and welcome into Smooth Operators. We got a very live show for all of you guys today. Of course, Barcelona happened this morning. Not a race next week, so you won't get any predictions, but we do have a live show for you. Ben, Griggs, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Doing good. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, another week of racing that happened, and it was an interesting race to say the least. Let's just go ahead and just get right into it. So, of course, the winner of the race was Max Verstappen by 24.09 seconds over second place Lewis Hamilton, followed by his teammate George Russell in third, 32 seconds behind the leader Verstappen. Perez P4, Carlos Sainz P5, Lance Stroll P6, Fernando Alonso P7, Esteban Ocon P8, Zhou Guanyu in ninth for Alfa Romeo, and finally rounding out the points, scoring 1 point in 10th place for Alpine, Pierre Gasly.
Hmm.
It's a double points, brother. And that's all
That
that
is a double
matters.
Good
points,
stuff. I
double
mean,
points for the Frenchman.
I'm not gonna jinx it, but I think the Alpine curse is broken.
I'll test that next week. Don't worry.
No.
Hmm. We'll see. Well, we don't have a race next week, but we
No,
do
next
in
show. Next
two.
show. Yeah, because next show week is
Oh,
the preview.
yes, that's right.
Yes, come on,
Finally.
Ben.
I'm gonna be. It's okay though. There are other series happening. We will watch, and maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe
Like
we won't.
NASCAR?
Anyways,
No, we ain't talking about that.
like NASCAR.
Like the
The fastest lap.
WSMP?
NASCAR wasn't much to talk about.
The
We
fastest
could
lap
talk
of
about
today. All right, Ben.
IndyCar or, huh?
I was talking about the fastest lap, but okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Fastest lap Verstappen, fastest pit stop Red Bull with a 2.07. Now it is the fastest pit stop now, overtaking Ferrari's pit stop at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So Red Bull beats them out by 0.03 seconds for the fastest pit stop of the year.
They take everything from us. We can't have nothing
Yeah.
in this life.
Yeah.
Painful.
Another thing. Another day, another migraine, as they say. Speaking of pain, I will say today was definitely a tough one in the office for Ferrari. They definitely ran with some trouble. And we always hate to see them struggle, but it was
Me, I
also
hate
kind
to
of
see them
funny.
struggle. Ben, can you tell me if that first pit stop was smart in any way? 'Cause I remember seeing
I mean,
signs come in kind of early, and I was like, that didn't seem to be.
he, yeah, I don't know. I thought I thought it was kind of unusual. Um, it it could have worked. It was a bit of an aggressive call, and kind of just a strange one. I don't even know if it was that aggressive per se, but it was just kind of like, "All right, Carlos, you're coming in." And he was like, "Why?" um, and you know, I personally would not have called him in so early in the race, considering it looked like he was managing fine. I don't think he had major problems with the tires at that point, and it essentially took him away from a podium and then cost him even further places.
I mean, yeah,
At least that's what it seemed like.
a pit lane start for him all the way into, if he could have gotten points, would have been great. But yeah, 17 laps in going off the hard tire, which that was very just interesting. Like, I didn't really make any sense. They weren't trying to undercut anyone. They weren't trying to do it. Just really just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
Apart the fact that they just didn't like the hard compound tire. I mean,
I guess. I guess they thought he was losing pace faster than he was making it up, which is kind of why you make a pit stop call to begin with. But at the same time, it seemed kind of unusual.
yeah, it really did. Like, I don't know, watching the whole race, like he was had some good moments. Like he was, especially once he got off the pit lane, he was getting some of the back markers, and then all of a sudden they called him into the pits. Just really didn't make any sense to me.
No,
No.
not at all.
No, as our resident Ferrari fan, what are your emotions now that the only thing that Ferrari had this year fastest pit stop was taken from you?
You know what, Griggs? I'm not going to dignify that with a comment. I'm instead going to stay here
Just cry in silence.
and say, remember the
Just
good
cry.
times. Because you'll never know when they're
Remember
gone from you.
six races last year?
Treasure every moment. Go
Kimi
tell
Räikkönen in 2007 was the last good time you had.
tell someone you love them today, because you never know when it can all go awry.
Deep stuff, brother.
Deep stuff, brother. Yes.
Yes. Ferrari is now still in fourth place in the constructor standings with 100 points. Even Aston Martin in third now with 134. Mercedes now up into second after being down by 1 point to Aston Martin last week, now at 152. And the Red Bulls are, of course, running away with it. 287 points. They're up 135 points on Mercedes now, which is a very large number. I don't even know how many races it take for
Yeah.
Mercedes to catch up. It got
Yeah, and I
negative
think
points and stuff, or like no points from races.
I think definitely. Griggs, you've been saying that you've had more correct predictions. All of mine were long term, so I think we'll see.
I mean, mine
we'll
were
see
long term.
some
Hey,
of the,
everyone finished the race again today. That's two in a row. Not
that
two in a row.
is
Two of
two
the
in a,
last three.
that's there. It has never been two in a row yet, but I think we could see that soon in the near future. But anyhow,
That might be the prediction. Yes.
that might be a prediction. We might see two in a row next season. That we'll save for later. But right now, I just want to say, all of my long-term predictions are coming true. I said that Mercedes would come back. I said it. I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't know even.
What a groundbreaking prediction.
They shocked me. Okay, I was even surprised at how much they had rebounded. Clearly being the second fastest team today. I definitely think that they will be back in the running by next season with their updated car concept. I don't want to call it that, but it kind of is. So, yeah, we could
So
see
we're
some improvement.
so we're already touching on it. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. The Mercedes changes. They brought the upgrades to Monaco. We didn't really see anything because, as you know, Monaco is not the greatest lap or race to test out your upgrades. It was going to be Imola,
No.
but that got canceled due to the flooding. So we've got the first look at the new Mercedes this weekend. Qualifying didn't go great. I mean, Hamilton was in I believe 4, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm correct. And Russell
Yes.
was in 11th ahead of Sergio Perez, ended up going 2 and 3, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does this change
3
at
and 4.
Mercedes signify for this team going forward? Because now it's going to be hard in the Drivers' Championship. I mean, I saw Toto Wolff today after the race talk about it on Sky Sports, where it's just like Red Bull's just so far ahead. It's just about them remaining consistent. But, like, you never know. Fernando Alonso's not got his first time. Fernando's not finished in the top 4 this year. So Lewis is
Yeah.
only 8 points back of him for third place in the Drivers' Championship.
Mm. I want to say one thing before we get into how it's going to affect Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton has consistently outperformed George Russell to this point, and I think he's going flat out to come back next season. And I think we're going to see a much more scary Lewis Hamilton next year. And I think also I think George Russell would be so much better off if he hadn't made more mistakes. I think if he made less mistakes this season, I mean, obviously, like every time you look at a driver who's not winning it dominantly, you could say, yeah, they'd be better off if they made less mistakes. But his have hurt him in such a way that it's kind of affected his battle with his teammate. Now that they're in a decent car, I'm very excited to see, kind of how that's going to play out between the two of them. Because, when there was 4 or 5 cars that were back markers separating each other and they were kind of stretching for position and trying to manage tires, that's fine. But if you're alone in second and third, Max Verstappen is streaked off and Sergio Perez is nowhere to be found, as he has been the past 3 races, what are you going to do but fight your teammate? And I would, from an entertainment standpoint, I would definitely be looking forward to seeing that.
Ben, I'm gonna
Noah?
quote Christian Horner here. They were still 23 seconds behind. I think it's
They
gonna.
still were, but
I think you're.
but I mean,
I think you are right. It's going to get very exciting between the two Mercedes drivers. But I think you'll agree with me. At the end of the day, they're always kind of going to give the leg to Lewis Hamilton.
You never know that he's off a contract this year. George could be the number 1.
negotiations are probably over with by now.
All
We'll
right,
we'll see
then
something
stop.
before.
Let's get to the media side of it. Noah, Lewis Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton, next year at Bahrain, walks for the pit lane photo shoot for DTS in Ferrari red. Your thoughts?
I don't think that can. Uh, 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 I'd love to see it. Don't think it's going to happen, Griggs. Not even I can be that much of a member of the media to try to stir this one up. I think he'll
Wow.
stay over at Mercedes. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. I don't think we can fool the public with this one, Griggs. Now, him going over
Noah
to
Phillips.
Stewart Haas racing in the number 14 next year, I could see that. All right, my sources have been. No, I'm kidding. I don't have any sources.
We need to find sources.
Tinfoil hat time. All right.
But yeah, I think the big key for them is also the side pods, like adding those back. I mean, it
I
could
mean,
seem
I
like a
think
minor thing, but
it definitely had more to do with the floor. Visually, the side pods were the biggest change, but they changed their floor concept, and I believe that is what is partial. Yeah, I gotta say the side pods did help. And they're
I mean, yeah,
controlling the
the
airflow
aerodynamic,
in and
yeah.
around the floor. But
And they
underneath
talked
the
about also,
car, which we can't see, is like definitely where the finer points are, and I mean where the seconds have changed per
you
lap.
also got to look at like with Mercedes, like they talked about with Toto Wolff, also like they're gonna have more tunnel time this season than Red Bull. So if Red Bull starts to struggle, pull off a couple 0 points races, this could be a little bit more interesting than it doesn't look like it will be right now. But never say never.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with Mercedes, and I'm not gonna say never, but I think the problem with Mercedes right now is they're just now figuring out how to build a successful car for these rules. Because essentially, once the rules changed last time around, Mercedes had to figure it out off the bat, and so they're kind of like still on the back foot a little bit, you know. And so I think you give them time, they'll figure things out as they do. I just I don't know. I don't think Mercedes is going to run away with second place either. I think Aston Martin is coming with a big upgrade package. At Hungary, is it? Is it the Hungaroring?
What the next one?
Yeah,
No, next one's
I don't think it's
Canada.
Hungary. Yeah, next one's Canada.
Canada.
Yes,
That's
home
right.
race.
Yes,
Yes, they'll come with them. Maybe them. But
they promised big upgrades, so I believe that it'll be a lot more competitive. Um, the at Canada, yeah.
I mean, speaking of the Canada, also, I mean, first race this year, Lance Stroll outperforms Fernando Alonso. They put a graphic I saw from our favorite uh, F1 media personality, Rocket Power Mohawk. Sky Sports during qualifying, I think, did like a sector by sector time thing comparing Stroll and Alonso had every sector, every like turn of the track better time. So that was kind of mean, but
Hmm. And yet, still, he was stuck behind Lance, even though he was faster turn by turn.
Hey, he's the number one driver,
I
brother.
he
I
is.
personally believe that Alonso should have been let through.
Well, he
I
said he
don't.
didn't want to be let through on the radio. He's like,
No,
tell Lance not to worry.
he said, "You guys don't worry
Yeah,
if you don't want to let Lance through. But
you gotta
I
remember,
think you should."
Father Stroll still signs his paycheck, so he's got to keep him happy somehow.
No, he still was kind of trying to say, he was like, "Hey guys, you know, if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. But could you please let me through?" They were like, "Yeah, we won't worry about it." I mean, I guess that's fair, and I feel like that could have affected the race in no way whatsoever. It's the same points for them, and I think at this point they're more worried about points than they are in the constructors than they are points in the drivers, because points in the drivers is just worth nothing financially. So third place is good for Alonso, but what's better is having Lance get a boost as well, which boosts your constructors points. So They didn't want to jeopardize anything that they already had. Totally understandable.
Agreed.
I just can't
Yeah,
believe.
I think personal results don't matter that much.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a you can be second, third, or fourth mentality, Ben. Um,
You can be second, third, or
no,
fourth, just
no, you
anything
can't.
but last.
If you're not first, you're
That's what I'm
last,
saying.
Ben. We almost had
You know what?
rain at the Spanish Grand
We
Prix.
did.
There was
No,
rain
we're not talking
inside
about
of.
George Russell's helmet.
Let's say there was rain inside George Russell's helmet. It was a weather phenomenon. And
Did you
then
hear Martin Brundle talking about how the brakes were so powerful in the McLaren he drove that it pulled like a tear out of his eye and splattered it on his visor?
I did not hear
I'm
that.
sure it was something of that effect. Yeah,
That's
he
probably
made that little witty comment.
it's probably when I got up to get my one breakfast bar.
Yeah. Let's also talk about the next topic of discussion is more McLaren misery. We've already talked about this a lot, not as much recently, but mainly we're talking about Mr. Lando Norris, the number 4 in the McLaren. Had one of the best qualifying sessions he's ever had. Starts P3.
Probably the
Yes, and it's over by a
because he's
lap.
not in a P3 car.
They overlap. No, over. Yeah, they. It was his race is over by lap 1, by like turn 3, I believe, with a
Just brutal.
shattered front wing. Brutal for him.
Yeah, it was turn 1 and 2 where he collided with Lewis, and then his race was over by lap 2.
But yeah, as Noah Phillips would put it, they have euthanized that dog in him.
Jesus. Oh God. What?
But yeah.
I stole that meme, man. I stole that meme. You did. Oh God.
They put the dog in him to sleep. That's hilarious.
But where do they go
Oh
from
my
here?
God.
Because they've already had some upgrades. 13
They
and
got
17
nothing to
for this
lose.
race.
They
Zach
have
Brown's
nothing
got
to lose.
Zach Brown's got something to lose, his job.
You know what? No, he doesn't. He's been doing a decent job of managing the team. I don't feel like he's really the one who's at risk. I do think that was totally Lando's fault, the accident between him and Lewis. Like, there was no need to send it the way he did and damage the car in the way he did. But what's interesting about it is that, like, they can pretty much just go for it every race, try and get points, try and get the results, and risk it because there's not anything to lose at this point. I believe they're what, 6th, 7th in the constructors. I mean, they've really struggled this season, and I think it would be in their best interest to just try throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
I mean, yeah, they're 6th currently in the constructors. They're at 17 points. It's most likely going to be a 6th place finish for them. Behind Alpine's already at 40. I mean, I can't imagine Haas, Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, or Williams catching up. So
No, I don't really think any of those teams will have a significant change.
And then in the driver's standings, Lando's in 11th with 12 points, and then Oscar's in 13th with 5. So might be just time to start looking at development for next year's car at this point. Because
yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do? I will say though, they have, especially I've been especially impressed with Oscar as a rookie, being no fewer than 5 points off his teammate. You know, if you look at the rookie to experienced teammate gaps, he has one of the smallest ones. So big props to him.
yeah, but
they still got to
day.
figure something out.
They got to keep running this livery because they're at least having decent luck in qualifying with it. They got to keep the tobacco looking livery and continue to at least get close. That's what they need to do.
Yeah. Can we talk about how they're still sponsored by a tobacco company on the air?
No.
Besides the fact that it's questionable.
Well, it's always been questionable. This sponsors for a racing team. Of course, it's questionable.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time to get real crazy. the Detroit street race happened today,
Yes.
and it was great. And they need to bring it to F1. That's all I have.
They don't need to bring it to F1.
Yes, they do.
But
They
it
would have
works.
to they would have to pave it a couple times, wouldn't they?
It's good enough
Yes.
for IndyCar. It's good enough for F1. Who cares?
Nah, brother, they're going to go to the Chicago street circuit. Same
At
one
least
NASCAR.
we're
is on.
not. At
No, they're
least
going
we're
to
not.
Nashville.
They are
At
not
least
going
we're
to Nashville.
not Detroit. We're not Detroit.
No.
You
Don't
seen
do
that video?
Yes.
Seen the Cleveland video?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't do no.
Funny.
Hey, in other news,
Awesome.
so I know you two do not know this, but the World Series of Poker is going on, and poker Twitter is mad at F1 right now because they're repaving like the strip in anticipation of the race coming up. So there's just like a ton of traffic going into the WSOP.
Don't they stay at the casinos though?
Some of them do. Some of them get like R&B, whatever they're called, ABRs. Those houses that you can like rent for some reason.
Airbnbs.
Airbnbs. So
ABRs.
they get that and then drive into town. Some live there too.
I mean, I would if I was a professional poker player, but also my
I will
prediction
say,
today. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
you did well. I was about to say you did really well.
My predictions did well. My ones for long shots. You remember what they were? I listened to them back to him during the race just to see if I had anything. I had two. I had two for the people. I said that Logan or Nick would score points today. That definitely did not happen.
No, nearly did.
Nearly did. Shout out Yuki Tsunoda. And then I said both Alfa Romeos would score points. Joe Guan Yu was in 9th, and Valtteri Bottas was in 19th. So that did not happen. But
Very close though. Again,
Close.
not really.
But
Valtteri was just oof.
But no McLaren livery.
Huh?
You get it? Close, but no McLaren livery because it.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
close but no McLaren livery. I like
Real-
that. That's FCC approved right there.
Real knee
Correct.
slapper right there. There is unconfirmed sources in our chat that says Griggs is short.
thanks, Connor. Appreciate that. Always good. Now, let's finish up the show talking about one of our favorite teams we like to talk about, and that is, of course, Alpine. So Alpine showed up today a little bit better than expected. Esteban Ocon getting 4 points after last week finishing on the podium. So, Alpine, where do you go from here? You're in 5th in the constructors. You're going to be potentially in a battle with Ferrari for 5th. Or for 4th, sorry. Unless Aston Martin starts to struggle more. But, yeah, they're 60 points off Ferrari. But, so, what are they going to do? They're just in a middle ground right now. Like, yes, they've had some good races in the past couple ones, but they're just in 5th place. They're up a lot on McLaren. They're down a lot on Ferrari. What do they do?
I mean, what do you do? That is the question.
Thankfully, we are not
it's
in the meetings to decide this.
No, because it is genuinely one of the hardest questions to think about. I mean, I guess, like I said, you throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Not really sure what else you can do.
I do think if you're Alpine, they've done better recently, right? Like, because they had the double points finish in Monaco, and they did something good in the United States, right?
Yeah.
So I think you just attempt to keep the train rolling. Just
Wait, the United States.
Miami.
Oh, yeah. Forgot. I thought
That's
you
it.
were talking about Coda.
They got another double points finish back in Miami. I believe they had another one. They did not. They finished 14th and 15th Azerbaijan. So this new success has been rather recent. I mean, the only thing you can really hope for here is to just keep pushing past and beating against the waves, trying to keep the momentum up. They have the fire icon. They just need to continue to show up next week in Canada.
Yeah, I think the French Canadians will be rooting for them.
Verstappen's going to win.
It's in Montreal, right?
It's gonna be.
Spoiler alert.
He's gonna walk it. Yeah, it is in Montreal at the
Montreal.
Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve.
Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah, y'all
Montreal.
do not even need to attempt that. Neither of you are French.
Yeah,
I can
Montreal.
Montreal.
we
Hey, we got another. It's another race though in God's time zone though, Eastern time zone. So that's good. I'm gonna get 3 races in my current time zone this year. That's gonna be awesome.
we've got Noah and I have
I have Miami, and then I have Canada, and then when I'm back in Auburn for Coda, so that'll be 3.
Wow, look at you.
I'm gonna drive to Charlotte next Sunday. Just so
Or
I
you
can
could
say I
drive
have to.
30 minutes across the Georgia border and be okay.
I'm gonna drive to you. I'm gonna walk inside of your house at 8 o'clock in the morning, or whenever the race is, and I'm gonna sit down with you and your family. And we're gonna watch this race together. Believe that. Believe that. Believe that, Griggs.
All right, but without that, is there anything else we have to discuss today?
No, not really. I was gonna say we can watch. I was just gonna suggest watch the IndyCar documentary. What is it? 100 Days to Indy. Presented in a very Drive to Survive manner.
We do not have enough time. We do not have enough time for that, right?
I was just gonna suggest that other people do that, not us.
If you feel so inclined, and we're not on the radio right now. We don't have to say that right now.
No.
No.
I was just. That's why it's a suggestion.
Suggestion.
I don't even have to say if you feel so inclined. I just suggest watching it.
Here's a suggestion. You guys can. I was gonna wrap it up pretty well, but go ahead, Noah.
Hang on. I got one thing. Are we going to talk about Did we talk about the amount of overtakes this race today had at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. Can I say one thing though before we discuss that really briefly? The number of overtakes does not necessitate the number of good overtakes. And now we can take it away.
Ben, do you not know that big number equals big entertainment value, Ben? Doesn't matter if it's good or not.
No.
The entertainment value was not that high, though.
So was the ratings like this?
There was no defensive driving.
The ratings have not come out yet. We can talk about ratings next week if y'all want. I can go.
Yes. Of course.
I can look up the ratings. I can find these things. So I can call my sources. My unconfirmed sources.
It's gonna be great. Well, here's the thing. I was gonna Noah say something about suggestions again.
Suggestions.
So I can do my thing.
Suggestions.
Well, here's a suggestion. Though you guys can follow our podcast Twitter on Twitter at SMOP Podcast. If you're seeing today's show, you can check it out on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back again, same time, same place next week. But until next week, when we're talking about the Canadian Grand Prix preview, for Ben McClurkin, Noah Phillips, I'm Greg Blankenberg. This has been Smooth Operators on Weagle 91.1 FM. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your night, and War Eagle.